especially since, seeing that everybody in this team is on steroids, which means including him.
Way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol.
Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices.
The boxing world is absolutely exploding right now. And what we're about to reveal will completely change how you see one of the sport's biggest superstars forever. Boxing professionals are coming forward with shocking allegations that could destroy Canelo Alvarez's entire legacy. And they're not holding back anymore. We're talking about steroid accusations so damaging that they're making headlines across every major sports platform. And the evidence they're presenting is absolutely mind-blowing. 5 members of his own team have already tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. And now, industry insiders are claiming that the entire camp, including Canelo himself, is completely dirty. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is a full-scale expose that's about to rock the boxing world to its core.
Greatest Mexican boxing fights of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm 100% confident in myself. If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me, especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, so he never got off
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How
sure.
does 5?
You saw De La Hoya
How do
call him
5?
out.
How do 5 people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids?
Right.
You know what I mean? all those fucking dudes in that camp are doing it.
Yeah,
I seen Eddie Reynoso on my fight, so we made a joke. He said like he came to watch me the fight and shit. And then they're like, "Oh, you think he's?" In my head, I'm like, "What do you think Eddie Reynoso's thinking about? Is are we gonna fight David Benavidez after seeing this fight?" In his head, Eddie Reynoso's like, "Fuck no, we not fighting him."
Yeah, of course. Yeah, honestly, I don't blame Canelo. It's fucked up because there's a lot of money.
It's not even about the money. It's not about the money.
Yeah, but okay, 100 million, dude. You kidding me?
The first step when you're a fucking warrior, bro, the only thing you think about is glory. I've never thought about money. I've been smart. I'm negotiating my shit, but it's always a prize, bro. It's always if I go out there and beat Canelo, bro, I'm a legend. You know what I mean? That I'm gonna live forever in boxing as a legend. That means way more to me than any type of money.
And I think that separates you too, David. And I admire that shit about you. I was like that at one point.
Yeah.
How much you give me?
Yeah.
and not to just bypass him. Shout out to Morel as well.
Yeah, shout out to
David Benavidez, one of boxing's most respected voices, just dropped a bombshell that has everyone talking. He's directly questioning why Canelo would avoid fighting him if he's truly as clean and confident as he claims to be. Think about it. When you're the best and you know you're clean, you fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. But Benavidez is pointing out a pattern that's impossible to ignore. He's saying that if Canelo was 100% confident in himself and his abilities, there would be no reason to duck a fight, especially when you consider what's been happening behind the scenes with his training camp. The implications here are absolutely staggering, and Benavidez isn't backing down from these explosive claims.
Addressed serious accusations about his gym. And the accusations are that people, or at least the implications are, that he is the one that is providing performance-enhancing drugs or is in some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol 2 times. For Fahim Satur, I'll say that he did it 2 times, even though I think it was for the same fight. But Canelo Alvarez popped dirty for clenbuterol 2 times. You have Luis Nery, who had tested positive, but I think Luis Nery tested positive before he was with Eddie Reynoso. Then you have Ryan Garcia, who popped dirty after he left Eddie Reynoso and went over to Derek James. And then you have Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez popped dirty while he was with Eddie Reynoso, but at the time he was still allowed to fight. You also clearly see that you have an issue with the fight that's coming up with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, in that you have one guy that tested positive, and you have another guy that looks like he's using in order to get up and continue to climb up weight classes. You know, at a certain point in time, and this is something that Rolly Romero has said, certain point in time, your body just doesn't do that. At a certain point in time, your body just doesn't do it. I'm 6'2", 200, and should weigh about 210. Closer to 250, but I should weigh about 210. I'm not gonna get up. If I was 210 now at 50 years old, I'm not. If by 55 years old, I'm not. The only way I'm gonna get up to 260 of muscle is up for a 30-year-old. Right? You remember, your body grows. Men's body can grow in height and length up until you're to the extreme in your 20s. By the time you're 20, your height and all that stuff is there, right? Your height and your length. In your mid-20s, you know, by the time you're 29, your musculature is pretty much there. It gets harder to gain and put on muscle after 30. So Canelo Alvarez is about to fight a guy that is going to put on 20 pounds of muscle.
When you look at the actual history of failed drug tests coming out of this camp, the pattern becomes absolutely undeniable. Canelo Alvarez himself has tested positive for clenbuterol not once, but twice during the same fight period. We're talking about a substance that's banned for a reason, and this wasn't just a one-time mistake. Then you have Luis Neri, who tested positive before he even joined Reynoso's camp, which might explain why he fit right in. Ryan Garcia failed a drug test after leaving Reynoso and joining Derek James, suggesting that maybe the problem followed him or that this culture of enhancement is more widespread than anyone wants to admit. And Oscar Valdez? He popped dirty while he was directly under Reynoso's guidance, but somehow was still allowed to fight. The fact that all these fighters are connected to the same training environment isn't a coincidence. It's a smoking gun.
Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices. But I'm a Triple G fan, so I'm a say that ahead of time. I just like Triple G.
There's a lot of money on the line, and if I could get away with it, I would do it as well.
Some tainted beefs.
I think, well, he definitely got busted once for something, but it could have been from tainted beef. We don't know. But it also could be that, you know, we should probably leave them alone and let them do whatever they want to do. Do you want to see Manny Pacquiao fight or not? Right? I want to see him juiced up, fighting at 45 years of age, coming in with a full six-pack, lighting people on fire.
Now let's talk about the science behind what we're seeing, because this is where things get really disturbing. Natural muscle development reaches its peak in your mid-20s, specifically around age 29. After you hit 30, your body's ability to gain muscle mass naturally becomes significantly more difficult. This isn't opinion, this is biological fact. Men's height and length growth are essentially complete by their early 20s, and your musculature is pretty much established by your late 20s. So when we see a fighter like Canelo, who's well into his 30s, continuing to bulk up at a rapid pace, it raises serious scientific questions. To put this in perspective,
What up, everybody? It's your boy MC from MCTV. I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo Alvarez is on steroids right now as we speak and is going to be fully juiced with something that hasn't even hit the market yet. Think about it. He's pretty much a billionaire. He has
observers who
don't talk about is, you know, Canelo. Steroids. They don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat. He could have been not clean in a lot of fights.
An industry insider who goes by NCTV just made a statement that's going to blow your mind. He's suggesting that Canelo is likely using cutting-edge, undetectable substances that are so advanced they haven't even hit the market yet. Think about this for a second. Canelo has essentially billionaire status in the boxing world, which means he has access to everything money can buy. We're talking about the most advanced enhancement methods that regular people couldn't even dream of accessing. His financial resources are so vast that he could theoretically get his hands on substances that are years ahead of what testing agencies are even looking for. This isn't just speculation. This is a realistic assessment of what unlimited resources can accomplish in the world of performance enhancement.
Canelo and Crawford are strictly and consistently doing random data testing in order to silence each other's fanbase and their critics ahead of their showdown this September. Now, despite this being a normal thing, the gravity of this fight brings in more attention to their test results, partly due to the fact that suspicion regarding both men have been up as of lately, namely Crawford's sudden bulk and jump to 168 and his close relationship with Snack and Victor Conti, and of course the recent PED scandals being associated with Team Canelo, as well as him once testing positive for clenbuterol 7 years ago due to contaminated meat. With that said, both men have been doing random testing since June and will undergo strict and consistent random tests up until they finally meet next month. Now, it's worth remembering that despite all the recent allegations for Canelo and Crawford, both fighters have been consistent.
Floyd Mayweather, who never holds back when he has something to say, has previously addressed steroid issues in boxing and made some shocking claims about the industry. He stated outright that people are simply too afraid to address the problem directly, and he's identified a disturbing double standard where some fighters get passes while others face intense scrutiny. According to Floyd, Canelo falls into what he calls a protected category. Because of his status and marketability, the industry stakeholders, promoters, broadcasters, and even fans are reluctant to question fighters who bring in massive revenue, even when the evidence is staring them in the face. Mayweather is pointing out that steroid use doesn't just threaten the integrity of the sport, it actually poses serious safety dangers to the fighters involved.
But I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo, because like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68 pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe, and he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds, and he dropping those guys like that. So I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it, so so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight, at like 60, or like at least at 60, just to get his body, to fill up somebody a little bit bigger, and things like that. I know when you go up a weight, you gotta, develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavier and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now, but I think he should, just to stay sharp and that way he don't have like a long layoff or anything like that.
In response to all this
last fight, but then after Canelo's last fight, it seems like it's more 50-50 now. So everything is just the build up for that fight is just going to be absolutely magnetizing. Like that fight, it's garnered so much more buzz after Canelo's last fight, and Bud is Bud. He's one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. He is one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Have you sparred any of them?
I haven't sparred Bud yet. I haven't been in Canelo's camp. I've met Canelo a few times. I love Canelo's team. Canelo's one of my favorite fighters. He's been my favorite fighter for the longest time. But I have to be Team Bud because me and Bud are cool, and I have so much belief in Bud, and I know who he is as a fighter. He is one of the greats. So he could do anything he wants.
And being around both of them and seeing how they work and train and things like that, what makes both of them the fighters they are, in your opinion?
I've watched Bud, so for Bud in particular, he's calm in everything he does, and that kind of calm is scary to watch because it shows experience. You can see that he's been doing this for decades. You can see it with his shadow boxing. You can see.
When you look at the historical context of Canelo's career evolution, the transformation becomes even more suspicious. Early in his career, he was smaller, quicker, and fought like a natural welterweight. But over the years, his transformation has been absolutely dramatic. He's not just fighting bigger opponents now, he's completely overpowering them. This shift is what's fueling all the speculation about the methods behind his effective bulking. The questions about natural growth become even more pressing when you consider his age and the physical demands of professional boxing. While some people want to attribute this to elite training and discipline, others are looking at the evidence and remaining completely unconvinced.
I think Terence Crawford is a marvelous boxer, arguably the best in the world pound for pound. But can you hurt Canelo? If you can't hurt him, I have no doubt he could outbox him. My issue is, if you can't hurt him, what kind of a challenge can you truly pose? What do you say to that?
No, that's a great point. I mean, here's the thing. Canelo Alvarez has a historically great chin. Now, I go back way back when he first came to the United States and started boxing, and he found himself on an HBO pay-per-view undercard years and years ago, fighting against the older brother of the great Miguel Cotto. His name was Jose Miguel Cotto, and he had gotten a ton of hype. He had signed with Golden Boy Promotions, and a lot of those of us in the media, and I had seen him a couple of times before that. This is my first time seeing him in person, really paying close attention, and he almost got knocked out in the first round. And I remember Stephen A., all of us looking around at Media Row going, what the heck is this all hyped about? This man can't take a shot. He's going to get drilled. He was lucky that the fight was over, that the round was over in round one, or there might have been some much more trouble. Stephen A., that was like, 16, 17 years ago. I've never seen him wobbled, rocked, physically, visibly hurt since then. He has an all-time great chin going in the ring with tremendous punchers. Terence Crawford coming up 2 weight classes, do any damage? Yeah, he's a slick boxer, and he's also a good puncher in the welterweight division, in the junior welterweight division, in the lightweight division. But even at junior middleweight, which is where Terence Crawford had his most recent fight back in August, when he moved up and he won a world title, he didn't blow the doors off. He fought a very tough, solid opponent named Israel Madrimov. He gave him a good fight. It was very close. Madrimov's people seem to think he might have even been able to edge it out. But if you can't hurt an Israel Madrimov at 154, what the heck are you going to do with Canelo Alvarez, the sturdiest guy in the world, at 168? So that aspect of it is certainly a problem. You mentioned about Charlo. Charlo was there to get his check. I know one thing about Terence Crawford. He's not going to just come to turn up to get the check. He'll at least try. And Charlo, I don't think, really tried.
Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali, has provided some interesting strategic analysis about Crawford's preparation. He's pointing out that Crawford isn't blindly entering the size disadvantage. His preparation involves sparring with much bigger fighters as an adjustment strategy for Canelo's power and pressure. This approach is being seen as both brave and strategic because turning risk into opportunity is what separates great fighters from good fighters. Crawford's training is mirroring Canelo's strengths to sharpen the tools he'll need most, and this calculated approach shows that his camp has full awareness of what they're up against, and they're not leaving anything to chance.
Bullies, it's somebody whose style is based around being the bigger guy, being the stronger guy, but Crawford is a very cerebral, very technical boxer, and I think that's why I'd never really considered this before. But also, I didn't actually realize until I sat down properly and thought about this, just how much weight Crawford has been piling on when he gets into the ring after the weigh-in. And look, these are not numbers that are out of the ordinary, but he's obviously cutting himself down so much in camp from whatever his walking around weight is. And it must be muscle that he's taking off. And perhaps that's why he's only fighting once a year, because there will be some fat, of course there will be, but the dude is not overweight. The dude still looks pretty ripped from what I've seen when he's not in training camp. However, there's not that many photos of him with his top off when he's not actually in training camp. So it's really hard to tell what his body composition is when he's walking around at these big weights. But the fact is, his fight night weight was 169 let's just call it 170 pounds, which is huge, absolutely huge for a 154 pounder. Especially, it's just shocked me that he's come up from 135 and now he's still putting on that much weight. He's rehydrating that much at 154. And indeed, to bring us even closer to the modern day, the thing that was posted, and again, this is the second time we've seen this, is why I'm kind of thinking there's a bit of a theme here with Crawford posting his weight when he's not actually in full training camp. On February the 9th, 2025, he posted an Instagram story and he showed himself weighing 186 pounds on a gym scale. Now, that's so much bigger than I imagined Crawford would be. I never thought this guy would walk around at 186 pounds, which for anyone who needs the conversion is just over 84 kilograms. And now look, it's not an unthinkable weight for someone, but for someone who has fought as low as Crawford has, who is generally as lean and as in shape as Crawford is, that's a lot of weight.
Respected boxing journalist Dan Rafael has offered a perspective on Crawford's motivation that's absolutely fascinating. He believes Crawford's motivation isn't about chasing money. It's about chasing history. His goal is to be remembered not just as a champion, but as a legend who took the biggest risks when it mattered most. This fight isn't designed for safety. It's designed for legacy building. But Rafael also understands that the challenge requires near perfection, because every single mistake could cost Crawford the fight. Success demands excellence in both ring IQ and physical durability. And the historical significance of this fight outweighs any financial considerations.
Going with Crawford. Typically fighters, they don't want to say who they want to go for because, they don't want to be biased. Yeah. And much respect to Canelo, but I'm going Bud.
Is there a particular reason why? Like, you're a guy that's moved up in weight, so you know exactly what it feels like to get hit by these bigger guys. Is that something that's going to play in the back of his head? Like,
of course,
gotta watch out.
It is, but it's not, because at the end of the day, it's not like he just got in there with somebody bigger than him. He's always probably been sparring with bigger guys. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's that boxing IQ, which William Skull didn't put up no fight, but he showed somewhat of a blueprint to get this guy, in a space where he's confused. Yeah. And he can't touch the target that's in front of him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?